What is up, guys, and welcome to Week 12 Power Rankings of the ASL. I am once again joined with Milan.
Hey guys, how are y'all doing? I am once again joined with EN, and we provide you the Week 12 Power Rankings. EN, you want to start it off?
Sure, we'll start it off with Ferret, who, shocker, he lost his game up against Milan, who happens to be doing pretty well right now. He's at 1-11 right now. He really should win his next game if he doesn't want to be on Demaster levels. At least he won't be the first coach going 112 if it happens, but it's just not a good season for him, very clearly. He needs to step it up if he wants to be able to compete in this league at a serious level. Um, Obviously, it's no fun losing over and over again, so I'm sure he's going to work hard to try to do it better, but it just isn't happening right now. Maybe with a different draft that better fits the playstyle that he clearly goes for. Maybe some more offense stuff he will do better, but it just hasn't worked all season for him, and that's why he's going to stay at the bottom spot.
Yeah, gotta agree with that for a majority of that. He did indeed play versus me. I don't think he played bad at all, to be honest. He made some plays himself, and I don't think he prepped that bad as well. I was just ahead of him for the entire game, and a couple of Stone Edge misses made it in a way so he wasn't able to get potential momentum back at all. So it only sped things up a little bit more, I think. Yeah, in the end, it was primarily Moltres who just absolutely destroyed his entire draft. It was just hard for him to beat it. Yes, he has a pretty bad record as of right now, but I think it's primarily because his draft just doesn't really suit him. And that's just unfortunate, but next season, I am sure we will see great things from Ferret because Ferret is definitely not a bad coach by any means. And like you've mentioned before, Ian, in a lot of videos of the power rankings, you can clearly see from him that he plays OU. He knows how to make plays. You can see that in the battles too. It's just team is holding him back, man, and that's just unfortunate to see. But good luck next season and next week, of course, as well. At number 13, we have a disagreement. I think that is the only disagreement we have for this week. So pretty boring, but yeah. I have Brett with the Seattle Tobidomarus. He faced off versus his mentor. So last week we had Ferret versus TCP, the mentor game, a mentor match. This week we have Brett versus Brad. And what a big misplay was happening in turn one. There was no energy ball at all. There was there was promised to be an energy ball by the both of them, and Brett actually forgot to bring energy ball on his set. So it was pretty funny to see. But yeah, in the game itself, I think Brett didn't play bad at all. I think early on he had the momentum for a good bit. Then he got paralyzed with Muck and missed a couple of gong shots, and then the momentum shifted to Anderson's level. And yeah, it was just a big pain for Brett in order to deal with him. He tried to shuffle Brett around and pressure him with his offensive spawns, but everything got paralyzed by Zapdos. And he showed off the very hype meme with hyper voice Gardevoir, which I really liked. But yeah, that was just the end of it because Diancie set up doesn't even have to be Mega Diancie, guys. A regular Diancie can do the same, and Brett definitely showed that this week, and Brett swept Brett with Diancie. So yeah, basically that's what went down, and that's why you are at the 13th spot. Good luck next season as well, Brett. I think you will do great. And you have actually the London Loudress at number 13. Please tell us why.
Yeah, London Loudred still are yet to win a game. Even though their ending schedule after replacing coach was pretty rough, so it's understandable that it might be a bit difficult to win that game. I'm not really gonna place you above coaches that have won games, other than Farrad, obviously, who has got such a bad record that it makes sense. Um, but yeah, you're sitting at like 0-3, I think, right now, which isn't super great. And even though you did bring this game pretty closer to 0, it just wasn't like your performance this season doesn't really warrant placing you any higher. I don't feel, in my personal opinion. But I assume that you mainly just wanted to come into this season to have a little bit of fun and secure your spot for next season anyway. So good luck in your next games and in your consolation bracket, etc. But I actually have Brett a little bit higher. He did lose to Brad this game, getting completely swept by Diancie, which is a very good Pokemon, so no knock there. But once again, hasn't really had that good season. He's only got 3 wins so far, which isn't great. Um, it isn't like the worst records that we've seen before though either, so it's hard to really knock you too much. I believe you're the only team that only has 3 wins. That's been here the entire time pretty much though, so obviously you're probably going to be at this spot. There's not really much contention there in my mind at least. So yeah, hopefully we can see some better play. Hopefully you can maybe improve a little bit, work on practicing a little bit more, and then maybe we can see some better stuff out of you. But for now, it's just we're not seeing it right now, so I can't really reward you.
For sure. At number 12, I have the London Loudreds. They did play Dave, which is a playoff coach as of right now, so pretty good to see him put up a good fight versus him. I actually think early game he was looking pretty nice. He was up 6-4, I think, at the early game. But yeah, Dave is Dave is like that guy that just never backs down, and in the end, he will always try to claw back for a victory. And yeah, he did. I did think though in the end that he misplayed his Tapu Koko a little bit, and I also was surprised that Empoleon wasn't a Sugarberry variant. I definitely was expecting that because he saved it in the back like it had a berry. Maybe it was Wakanberry for the circuitry. I don't really know. But yeah, in the end, it didn't really work out, the end game scenario for the London Loudreds. So it was unfortunate to see. And yes, like Ian covered again, he hasn't won a battle yet in ASL, even though he played pretty well, I think. Yeah, he just jokes in the end, and that's something he needs to work on for next season and next week. But yeah, at number 11, we both have the PC Barcelona, and Shadow is he has fallen down a good bit. My God, Shadow was doing really well early season. He was actually in playoffs for a good amount of weeks, I think. But yeah, he slipped down. He slipped down, and he faced off versus Malone this week, and well, he didn't play too bad at all. I think it was a really weird sets. I mean, the Z0 Aura to nuke the Gudra was interesting. I think it was cool that it worked out. The Grass Knot was pretty solid versus Donphan, and that was to be expected. But yeah, he definitely caught me off guard with the Dragonium Z. But yeah, it worked. That was positive. Then the negative was the Typhlosion set. I think in theory it was a cool idea to 1v1 Cortana with Curse, Fire Punch, Rest Talk, type lotion. Definitely heat, literally. But yeah, realistically, if you brought any other type lotion set, I think you actually would have won the game. So that was just unfortunate to see on your end because you have brought so many offensive teams, and then when you throw a weird defensive set with Typhlosion in it, it just doesn't really function with the offensive nature of your draft. But yeah, that's just a tip for me for you, and good luck next week. Why do you have met number 11, Ian?
Um, Obviously, I understand. Shadow had such a great run at the start of the season, and he was really hopeful that he would get into playoffs. And then after being eliminated from playoffs, he just stopped caring, and he just decided that he would start memeing, which makes sense, obviously. At least in his mentality, a lot of what he likes to do is just bring fun meme sets and see whether he can put in work with them. And unfortunately, this was not one of those times that he could succeed at doing that, like most times, if we're being honest. Um, but in future, I would like to see you just play to the last game, even if you are eliminated. Just put in your all rather than try to meme, because that's going to be the best way to improve. After going into this big long losing streak, I don't think it was best for your mentality to decide to just meme your games away. I think you probably should have tried to put in the effort. to just get those wins and see if you can reverse your luck, get that momentum going into the consolation bracket and see if you can make some power plays there. But that's just not what you decide to do, which I respect that choice, but obviously that's going to put you down lower in the power rankings. It's just how it works. But better luck next season. Hopefully, that's going to be the one where you can actually take it all the way. Maybe pull what Malone's been doing and just create those massive upsets at a more consistent basis. But yeah, anyway, moving on to number 10, we both have Cody, and this is where we're just all agreeing now. Cody got his first win of the season, bringing him to, I believe, a 1-1 record or something like that. Up against me, so obviously he's beating playoff coaches. He's shown that he's got a lot of talent, which obviously we already knew. Just phenomenal prep this game. Specialty, Landorus, eject button, Gardevoir, stuff like that was really solid, really gave him a lot of momentum early into the game and just put me super far in the back. Really solid game plan as well, making sure to preserve differential effectively without putting it at a stupid risk. So just a talented player. This is a lot more of what we were expecting to see out of him than his last week performance. So it's good to see that. And I'd say that he's probably going to be one of the favourites heading into the consolation bracket, which is looking surprisingly stacked right now. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how he goes in there.
For sure, he definitely showed why Cody had that undefeated streak past season. Yeah, he's definitely back at his game again. He beat a very strong coach who is running for a playoff spot right now. So that was impressive on his end. I definitely like the hidden tag moves he preserved in the back and then showcased in the match. Was really cool. I like the special Landers a lot. I definitely was not expecting that. So that was pretty cool to see. And overall, definitely a big threat for the consolation bracket, which is indeed very stacked at this point. So that's something to get hyped about as well. At number 9, we both have TJ. And TJ, yeah, it was a pretty interesting game this week. TJ always claiming that he's such a trash coach. He isn't doing well. It's not his season. Yada yada yada. And then he also made a claim like TCP started his streak versus me, and I'm gonna end it. And he's spoken the truth. He actually ended the win streak of TCP, which was super surprising to a lot of people. Like, no offense to TJ, but TCP was doing so well. So it was surprising to see him lose, and yeah, but you did very well this week. I liked a couple sets of you, especially the Archeops. I think was pretty cool. But yeah, Registeel in the end definitely clutched it for you versus the Florges and the Diggersby. And then the Scarf Evire was also very nice in order to deal with the Scarf Diggersby, which was honestly his best Scarf to bring versus you. So glad to see you're back at your usual to be expected out prep scenarios. And good luck next week and season as well. Why do you have him at number 9, Ian?
Well, honestly, I would kind of like to move him further up, if anything, just because obviously being the only person to beat a coach in a season is going to give you major props. Um, and it's great to see
Sure.
him really put in that effort, really turn the season around somewhat, even if it is a bit too little too late. At that point, it's just good to see that he still has that fire to compete, still is putting in the work, putting in the effort to win his games when he can. Even when it looks at its grimmest. Unfortunately, of course, it has not been his season, like he's been saying this whole time. Still sitting at a 5-7 record, which is below his par. Usually, he likes to get that positive record at the very least. So I'm sure he'll be looking to win next week as well to try to at least close in on that 500. But with all this momentum, he's probably going to be another favourite for the consolation bracket as well. It's just a shame that he is still currently eliminated and is sitting a game behind the coaches above him. Speaking of which, we have Brad, who is now on a 4-game win streak. That's obviously going to put him above TJ here because just 4-1 record is definitely going to be looking a lot better on your resume there. Brad's just been killing it this season. Ever since he joined in, pretty much, he showed that he has not lost his touch at all. He's shown that he can really rock his team really effectively. Really nice Diancie sweep this week as well. Solid prep, and I'm sure he's gonna do great things next season.
I actually am pretty upset that Brad is not making playoffs because if you actually look at the games he played, I think he won all of them bar the first one. The first one he was a little bit rusty. He was like, okay, now I know what level of competition we actually play in here. And then the other weeks, I think he won them all pretty convincingly. I think with a lot of 4-0s or higher. Not quite sure. Call me out if I do it if I say it wrong, but I think he had very impressive games this season, and yeah, for him to just not make playoffs is just a shame. But yeah, this week really cool battle versus his mentee. No turn one energy ball, unfortunately, but hey, anything can happen. And the best part about this battle was definitely the Diancie sweep. Like, if I couldn't get a Diancie sweep this week, he certainly can. So, good job on you, Brett. At number 7, we have the Winters Weevil, and Jalmer is just edging out to still fight for that last playoff spot. And he pulled a big upset win against Hutch, who was looking definitely definitely capable to get the round bye win at the second seed. So it was a big upset. In the game, I think Jelmer brought pretty good sets versus Hutch. I think the especially defensive volley E-Trend was annoying, but very effective versus Hutch. Unfortunately, it had to drop a little bit sooner than you would have liked. But yeah, in the end, it was a little bit RNG factored, but yeah, I mean, in the end, he still came on top, and you can't really blame him for that. It's not his fault that the low roll happened. That's not really RNG, but yeah, the critical hit slash paralyze, there were definitely annoying things. But yeah, Jalmer definitely looking good for the final spot of playoffs if he keeps this up. Why do you have him at number 7?
Yeah, he's definitely been doing a really great job currently. He's at a 5 game win streak, so completely turned his otherwise pretty poor season around quite drastically. Great win on Hutch. That was going to be one of those games where really made or break his playoff run. Because up until then he had been playing more of the lower teams, I guess you could say. But now he's proven that he can still win up against the playoff teams, even though he wasn't doing that at the start of the season. So he's definitely done a lot to prove himself worthy of making the playoffs. Now he just needs to seal the deal by beating Dave next week, and then hoping that one of myself and Malone loses. But yeah, definitely in with a very good chance still. Just that kind of poor differential, only sitting at 0, which is below what both, like pretty much everyone else at that range is going to hold him back here. It's going to drastically limit his chances, but still wish you the best of luck. Anyway, number 6, we have myself. I don't really want to talk about it, so I'll just let Milan take over here.
Sure. EN faced off versus Cody, which was a pretty hype matchup because last season Cody versus EN didn't actually occur because Cody had to leave for personal reasons. So that match wasn't played, and this was probably the make-up for it, I guess. EN was definitely not on top of this game. I think it didn't really have to do with EN's plays, but it was primarily the out prepping on Cody's part. Cody definitely surprised a lot of people. He definitely surprised me at least, and I think EN as well with for example the turn one grass CMZ to pick off the Palo Sand was pretty big. Special Landers in general was pretty huge in the end as well versus the Mega Altaria. But yeah, it's just something that you can't really do about if your opponent just out prep you. It's just like record wise, Ian has definitely proven he is a playoff contending coach, and he should definitely get the playoff clinch next week. But it's still like games like this happen, and you can definitely lose, and it's just unfortunate. And compared to the other coaches right now who are in playoffs, they have a better record. They don't have actually better differential, which says something as well. But yeah, I think the sixth spot is just the spot we kind of had to give you, EN. But yeah, that's me. At number five, we both have the St. Louis Swablues who fought versus Shadow this week. Well, I I'm still impressed with Malone. Like how much he has improved is just insane. If you compare his last seasons and then his earlier weeks this season to this big win streak he is going on right now, I think now that TCP lost his win streak, Malone is actually running with the biggest win streak as of right now. So super impressed by Malone in that sense. In this game, though, I don't think he was that dominant. It is pretty rough to play as high offensive team like Shadow, so I guess that was the reason. But yeah, it was definitely looking shaky and definitely looking like he was going to lose his win streak as well. But he managed to prevail and still continued his win streak. So GG Malone, and good luck next week to secure your playoff spot. Why do you have him at number five, EN?
Yeah, Milan's definitely improved a lot. The biggest thing holding him back is that he's still looking a little bit shaky in some of those games. He's still making a few misplays here and there that's putting him fairly far back. His wins are a lot closer than most of the other playoff coaches, which is why his differential is the lowest of the playoff teams right now. So all those kinds of factors are the reason why he's placed at the fifth spot rather than any higher. Um, he was able to clinch it out versus Shadow Thunderous T, once again carrying through for him getting 4 kills this game. So really solid stuff overall from Malone here. And he pretty much is clinching playoffs. He's not 100% confirmed. But, just based on how he's been playing and based on his current differential, even if he does lose, he still has a very solid shot at making it. But yeah, it's just not 100% safe, unlike the coaches above him. So that's those kind of reasons are the reasons why he's at number 5 instead. But at number 4, we have Dave, who seems to have gotten back into the swing of things here. Dave played up against Thunderflight, and he was able to win pretty nicely there. Not necessarily a coach that we rank super highly or anything like that, but it's just good to prove that he can get those wins again after going on a kind of long-ish losing streak for playoff coaches. That is earlier, a couple weeks ago. So yeah, it's definitely good for him to be able to get that momentum coming in. Next week is going to be very important for how the playoffs shake up, as he is against Vish. So we'll have to see how hard he tries in that game, stuff like that. But I have full confidence in him going into playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. I think Dave is definitely back at it again. He won last week versus Cody, and this week he won versus T-Flight. So he's beating all the London teams, all the poor Englishmen, and Chicago Gonkelder's Big Daddy Dave is definitely repping the Zygarde 50% once again for the kill leaders. Dave probably was like, hey, my Zygarde hasn't had a lot of kills the last couple of weeks, so let's claim a lot more this week. And he did. He pressured T-Flight early on with a lot of hazards, which was good. Then the surprised hidden the fog on Coco came out, which was surprising, but I think in a way it was a positive thing for Dave because that allowed the Coco to take damage, and losing Coco on T-Flight sides definitely opened up a lot of doors for Dave, and yeah, that definitely helped out. And the Zygarde sweep in the end was just, yeah, excellent. Uh, Next week he does have a very important game, so we'll have to see how things will turn around for Dave. Will he actually manage it to win and like go into playoffs with a lot of positive vibes and a win streak, or will he lose and still make playoffs because of differential, but has bad momentum going into playoffs? So that's just something we'll have to see what spot he will be placed in the playoffs. So that's something definitely I am excited about to see. At number three, we have the Portland Timbers, and yeah, they had a pretty rough game this week. I got to give it to Hodge. He was pretty upset about his loss this week, which I can completely understand. It's always annoying that if you think you have the end game planned out perfectly, then something like RNG happens. It's just annoying. It's not something you can blame your opponent about really much, which I didn't like, and I did speak about it to him. But yeah, I can understand the upset, and the natural reaction is just anger slash frustration. So it's perfectly fine. But yeah, Hutch overall, man, listen to me. You did very well. You have a very strong season behind you. Last week you have one more game versus Anderson, which is a pretty exciting game. It's just another game to prove yourself to the other people why you are definitely deserving this round bye. And if I lose to TJ, you still are getting the round bye. So nothing is lost yet. It's just frustrating for you, but don't give up, man. Don't give up. That's something you always need to remember. That's probably your downfall. Once you are in that bad momentum streak, you start making some interesting plays, and that's just not like you. You're excellent dude, great coach, and I think you will turn up in the playoffs and potentially win your first championship. So good luck on you. But the end, why do you have met number three?
Yeah, basically it's that differential. He's got a really solid shot at getting that buy still. And like you said, I do not like his mentality going into this so far after that loss, especially. Not that I'm one to really talk about that. Um, but I can understand why he is upset about it. Losing the bye most likely still has that shot, obviously, of you losing and him winning, but making it a lot more difficult after fighting so hard to get it, after trying to prove himself capable of getting that bye to everyone and to himself in particular, and set himself up for that nice position to the championship. I can understand it. Losing that win streak as well, that he was quietly accruing, is also got to suck a little bit. So I get it. Not going to knock you too hard, obviously, just going to put you here because of your great differential. And I'm sure you'll probably do well in playoffs and probably get a nice second place or championship kind of range placing. But anyway, we'll move on to number two, where we both have Milan, who is currently sitting at a 9-3 record. Only team with that 9-3 record is able to get that bye. Not quite clinched yet. Still got to win against TJ to secure the bag. But he's looking pretty solid to keep that bye. Really home stretch now, and set himself really nicely into playoffs with that nice break, nice safety net. Um, so we'll see if he can clinch that out. Obviously, there's been a lot of shuffling around this bye, so I would not be surprised to see him lose it at the last second. Um, but just a really solid season overall, especially overcoming those forfeits games that have happened, really proving yourself worthy of this spot. So yeah, really good job this season, Milan.
Thank you. Yeah, I put myself at number two because yeah, the ranking is just like I have one more win. But like Ian covered already, there's been a lot of competition for this round one bye. And to be honest, with the one bye curse, I'm not even sure if I really want to win it. But I'm looking pretty good to win it as of right now. I only need to win one more game, but yeah, it is versus the man who ended TCP's win streak last week, or this week. So yeah, that's something interesting. I always have very good matches versus PJ, so that's something to look out for. This week, however, my transaction, I'm so glad I made it. Mudsdale has been a good boy for sure, for sure. But Moltres actually put in a lot of work this week, definitely able to 1v1 pretty much every member on Ferret's team. So yeah, Moltres did a great job, and in the end, Scarf Greninja just cleaned up. Yeah, I don't think I was in trouble at any point in the match really, but yeah, it all came down to Ferret's team not being able to deal with certain things on my roster, and yeah, Ferret not really feeding his team. So no shade to Ferret at all for that. But yeah, the big man himself at number one, TCP. His streak did end. We all are very, very surprised about that. I don't think anyone was actually expecting the upset loss. I think everyone thought TCP is the first one to actually have this flawless regular season. But yeah, he lost this week, and we can make a big fuss about it. Like, oh no, TCP lost. He's so bad. Like this. No, I mean, TCP has been amazing this entire season, and even in the game versus TJ, I think it was a little bit rushed prep as well on his part. I know he's pretty busy man, of course, but yeah, it was unfortunate to see, but still great performance on TCP overall this week. And you can better lose one in regular season than in playoffs. So TCP definitely looking pretty for a championship. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens in playoffs. Yeah, great job so far, TCP. And yeah, let's just get the last victory the last week. So yeah, good luck, good luck. Why do you have him at number one? I mean, pretty
But
obvious, but
yeah,
just explain why.
I wonder why I have TCP, the 11-1 team, at the number one rank right now. Obviously, after beating me, everyone pretty much thought that the win streak was secured. I was definitely congratulating him a little bit early. But honestly, the week after that, I guess we kind of all started to see the kinks in his armor. He was starting to put in less effort, starting to get a little bit. I'm not going to say cocky because that's definitely not right, but confident, I guess, in the fact that he'll be able to win those games anyway. And just wasn't putting in as much effort as he was earlier in the season, I guess. And it did catch up to him this game where he just didn't have that solid game plan that he had going into the other games. Tried to save that Florges setup for the end game, but didn't really have a pathway to getting rid of the Reggie Steele to let the Florges set up. And yeah, it definitely did cost him that win streak. Definitely ashamed to see it happen. I'm not going to say rooting for him because that's also definitely not true. But it would have been hype to see him get that undefeated streak in the end there. Either way, if he does go back to his earlier form, put in full tryhard mode again, I'm sure he's going to be one of the favourites to win the season for sure. So yeah, just got to make sure that you don't start completely slacking off now and just put in your all. But I think that's going to wrap up.
For sure.
Yeah, I think this is going to wrap up the video. If you got anything else to add, real quick.
Subscribe to my channel, bitches. That was it.
That was needlessly hostile. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe to all of our channels, bitch. And
Yes.
follow our Twitter.
Spread the love.
Yeah. All that
Next
stuff.
week with the last video of Power Rankings. See you guys next time.
Bye.